Welcome to LFN News, a production of LFN Media, bringing you the latest in celebrity news, with specific analysis to keep you in the know of what is going on around you. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe, and hit the bell icon, so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. R. Kelly has indeed seen a trial like no other in Chicago. Although the trial started off with worrying news that the woman, who had refused to testify in his 2008 related trial, was actually cooperating with prosecution and would actually be testifying against R. Kelly this time round, her testimony turned out not as compelling as we had all imagined. Irrespective of the fact that she was testifying under an immunity deal granted by prosecutors, assuring her she did not risk self-incrimination with her testimony, fresher developments into her narrative must have made her lose the favor of the jury earlier on in her testimony. Hope that this trial would be very different from the New York one, that saw R. Kelly slapped with a 30-year prison sentence was evident, even earlier on in the trial. Although presiding Judge Harry Lynan Weber is now showing signs of prejudice as we draw closer to the conclusion of the trial, he made some rather impressive moves earlier on in the case, making some rather surprising rulings in R. Kelly's favor. Ahead of jury selection, for instance, Judge Harry ruled that he would only allow jurors who had not, or only watched part of the surviving R. Kelly documentary series, which was quite A+ in comparison to the New York trial, where the jury consisted of jurors who had actually watched the full length of the infamous docuseries. Evidently so, when the actually jury selection commenced, Judge Harry surprisingly seemed ever more cautious of the objectivity of each prospect juror, to the point of kicking out one who was just remotely related to one of the prosecutors. More than 100 Illinois residents were questioned to pick out those who could best serve on the R&B King's jury. More solid signs were evident when it became evident that prosecution was intentionally malicing black juror prospects, allegedly based on their race, forcing Judge Harry to personally step in and okay a number of black jurors that had been sidelined by prosecution, yet they portrayed all the prerequisites to meet the jury selection. This meant a fair composition of the jury, with close to half the jury being black, which was by far a fair representation of blacks on the jury, critical for R. Kelly's chances at seeing a more objective jury than New York's. Experts argue that while the opening statement, the cross-examination of the prosecution's witnesses, and the closing argument are all important aspects in winning a case, the number one most important part of a trial, and what is absolutely critical to getting a verdict in your favor without exception, is gaining the jury's favor, and this supposedly starts with jury selection. Allegedly, the reason jury selection is the most important, most critical part of any trial is because if you don't have a completely fair and impartial jury, then there is a strong likelihood that you've lost the case before it even begins. With that in mind, it is now even more evidently clear that R. Kelly not only got a few lucky streaks in this trial, but has also effectively won the favor of the jury along the way, based on the proceedings of the past 3 and so weeks. Prosecution testimonies started on a rather high note, but subsequent cross-examinations revealed there was more to the story than meets the eye in no time. When it became apparent that the facts were not quite as they were being shared, the jury was most likely able to read between the lines and must have become more objective about the facts in this case. A total of more than 20 government witnesses has been arraigned since the beginning of the trial, including 4 women who said they were abused by R. Kelly. The facts became even clearer when the defense witnesses took the stand with further revelations in their testimonies that evidently poked holes in prosecution testimonies, presumably swaying the jury to R. Kelly's favor. One of the witnesses, Tracy, had told jurors earlier on that she and Kelly met in an expo in 1999 when she was allegedly 16 years old. Mary Green, however, who was part of the planning committee of the Today's Black Woman Expo in the late 1990s and early 2000s, testified that Kelly did not appear as a featured artist at the 1999 expo, but did make a promotional appearance at the expo in 2000. Green countering claims from Tracy that she met him at an expo in 1999, when she was 16, and that the two later began a relationship while she was still underage, accusing Kelly of abusing her dozens of times. In 2000, Tracy would have been 17, which is the age of consent in Illinois. Such a failure of consistency in the very basic of facts such as age merely compromised the prosecution. Even R. Kelly's fans believe the odds are completely in his favor when it comes to the jury in this Chicago case. Everything seems to be falling into place to earn R. Kelly favor before the jury. Melanie says, "There is no doubt that the jury are the most critical aspect in any jury trial. R. Kelly was lucky to have had time to be involved in the jury selection in Chicago, unlike New York. Although some of the jurors have watched part of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, it is very likely that they are objective and impartial. Besides, Kelly's lead attorney did a good job endeavoring to remind the jury to disregard the perception they have about R. Kelly, and they now must have already ascertained that R. Kelly actually has much more to offer than what is commonly portrayed of him. They must have equally been surprised to learn that R. Kelly actually kept relationships with his alleged accusers for years, even after the 2008 trial. It is evident that R. Kelly has already earned the favor of the jury, and should they turn out to be as objective as we expect, then R. Kelly will be cleared of the charges against him." Harvey says, "Mr. Kelly did not deserve to be railroaded by the government, and it's a terrible shame that they did. But nevertheless, the truth has already started manifesting, and the jury is definitely observing how all the testimonies are unfolding, greatly exposing the prosecution. The jury must not be taking the many contradictions in the prosecution testimonies by granted. If they are objective and impartial enough, then they will most definitely rule in his favor. The role played by the defense witnesses through their elaborative testimonies also can't be disregarded." That's all we had for you today. Please let us know in the comment section below if you personally feel the jury is swayed enough to give R. Kelly a favorable ruling. Thank you for watching LFN News, a production of LFN Media, giving you another view of issues at hand. To get notified whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now and hit the notification icon. And remember to give us your comment on the subject matter below.